Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome along to JACKOCAR, here for Season two's All-Star race here at Abu Dhabi. We've got three people in the commentary box. You've got me, Owen White, with me, league owner Jacko, and who's our special guest, Jacko?
I do believe it's the one and only man from Scotland. It's Ginger Andy, who returns to us for the first time since the season finale in China.
Yeah, well, it's great to be here, guys. I'm looking forward to it. The All-Star race tonight. I think it's going to be a really exciting race. All the top drivers, statistically, in JACKOCAR coming together for this great race. And, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a competitive race, some good action, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm also looking forward to this qualifying style that you guys have in this league. I'm really a big fan of it, and I'm excited to see how it pans out. So, yeah, looking forward to tonight's event.
Good to hear, Andy. It was a little bit, well, there was a few drivers that were a little bit sceptical of it when we announced it. Trialled it a few times, got a few races in, and I think now everybody is on board, which is good to hear. And it's actually produced some excitement for us as well, particularly Britain Short earlier in the season.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it adds that extra pressure, doesn't it? I mean, you have to get it on that one and only lap. It's like what we've seen back in the older days of Formula One, back in the early 2000s, nail that lap. If you don't, your weekend is absolutely ruined. Your race is in tatters, especially on somewhere like Monaco, for example. But, Abu Dhabi, a lot more forgiving, plenty of runoff area. And, looking forward to the session ahead. And, Owen, who would you say, you cover this a lot, who's the standout going into this one today?
I hate to say it, but it's Kyle, isn't it? I know I get a lot of stick for this. Every time I say, oh, it's going to be Kyle, it's going to be Kyle. But every time I do say it, he ends up losing. So we'll say Kyle and hope that it's somebody else.
So I take it you're a bit of a commentator's curse for Kyle, is that correct?
Well, he's dominating the championship, but recently he has started to bottle a little bit. So we're getting into the habit of wrecking his season.
At the time of the season where he needs to not bottle as well, he went on a string of 4 race wins in a row. He's won 6 in total this season, and just the playoffs, it just hasn't quite happened for him yet.
Yeah, well, we'll see how he gets on. I mean, I actually was racing really hard with Kyle the other night in a league, trying to stop his championship charge in a separate league, and unfortunately for him, it didn't quite work out. I gave him a couple of bumps from behind and had to apologise. But that's why I should be commentating, and that's exactly why I'm doing that tonight. So hopefully I won't be putting any curses on Kyle, having done that on the racetrack the other night. But looking forward to qualifying, which will get underway properly with 14:45 left on the clock when Yuri heads out onto the track. One podium finish in the Belgium in Season 2. And Jack, can you just explain to the viewers a little bit more what exactly this qualifying setup entails, and how these drivers have been picked for this event?
Yeah, so how they've been picked. Basically, the first 8 drivers that go out are statistically the best drivers in the league that have not won a race or won a championship within JACKOCAR. So as they go through the order, they increasingly become more successful. So Yori with his 1 podium the other day, all the way up to Jordan, who goes out at 9 minutes 30 left on the clock, who won the chase last season. After that, we get into our race winners and champions, starting with MK Bourne with his 1 race win from Baku, Camo Babo with his 2 rally championships, all the way up to Pete in the 21 car, who is of course the JACKOCAR Season 1 champion and has 3 race wins from Hungary, Belgium and Italy last season.
So essentially then, the heavyweights go out at the end, and with the format as it is, Owen, you would think that the times are just going to get quicker and quicker and quicker, and that should have us, commentators and fans, on the edge of our seats at the end.
That's the theory, isn't it? It does tend to work that way, but as we've seen plenty of times on this league, it doesn't always work that way, and that's what makes it so unpredictable. It's what puts them under so much pressure, and that's why we love it so much. And this track, see the last sector, I've noticed, particularly actually the penultimate corner, the exit of that one, you are gunny and Valdi there quite a lot, even just in general. I've done a few TT laps around there, because sometimes I'll have a little look, see which corners are difficult, and you'll invalid it barely going off the track, and it makes it a very difficult lap. And it's so easy to just forget it's like that. So we'll see if they fall for that trick. And well, Yuri, we're waiting for him. Here he comes.
Yeah, well, here he comes out onto the track then. to start this qualifying session. And yeah, I have to agree with you on that final sector. It is so tricky. I think it's, what is it, turn 19, the first corner after you come underneath the hotel. It's so easy to try and swing the car in there, cut a little bit of the inside to keep yourself away from the wall and give yourself a better exit. But it's so easy to just, you know, cut that curve just a little bit too much, be greedy, and invalidate your lap. There's so many corners like that in that final sector, isn't there? You need to really attack it, and it's so easy to just run a little bit wide, make mistakes, and as Yuri, wow, spinning up the rear tyres there, coming out of the hairpin and heading down that long 1 kilometre straight, which, without doubt, guys, is probably going to be the best overtaking opportunity on this racetrack. The 2 long straights, aren't they?
Of course, as always at Abu Dhabi. But Andy, what I was going to say to you, I don't know if we've told you yet, but what's not going to play into the hands of these drivers is they're all running preset free tonight, so it's kind of half all-star race, half potential trial for season 3. We may not do it, but all on fixed setups, so it should level the playing field in we're hoping.
Yeah, well, I think it makes good sense. You always want to try new things. I think the qualifying format, which you guys say, seems to have been a really good success. You said a few people were sceptical about that. So again, another opportunity, a non-championship race, no points awarded for this. Go out there and test different things like that. And I think that's refreshing about this league. I think that's really good to see. And, you know, it should level the playing field because, you know, a lot of drivers, they play the game more than others. And at times, they have a little feather in their cap with an extra bit of setup, don't they, Owen?
Yes, it just makes it more interesting, doesn't it? I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this all works. But we are waiting to see now Yuri come around to do his first lap. Did you notice when he went into the final sector how little of the curves he was taking? Very interesting if he's doing that as a wee sighter going in or not, because obviously you only do get just the 1 lap, don't you? So we'll see how this pans out. A lot of people will be obviously under the pressure because they're thinking about that 50 quid. If they say they aren't, they're lying. So yeah, first lap then. Let's see who's going to lose their bottle first.
Yeah, well, unsurprisingly, being the only man out there, he's gone purple in the first sector, has Y Racer. And it was interesting that, Owen, I have to say, you usually want to get yourself into the groove, into that final sector, attack it a little bit, and then, you know, build yourself up, see where the margins are for this one flying lap. But Yuri instead, go for a more cautious approach then, as he comes to the end of that long straight into the braking zone for turn 8 and 9, that chicane. And of course getting the car tucked in to the inside and then swinging back to the right for the exit underneath that lovely modern looking Yas Marina bridge, and then down the support paddock pit straight towards this really tricky chicane. You know, it's difficult to get right, isn't it? Get the car stopped, get the nose turned in, but Yuri spots that braking point absolutely brilliantly right across the curbs, and then into this another tricky, slightly off camber left-hander, past the harbour on the right-hand side, the marina, where all the rich and famous like to gather on the F1 weekend, and then breaking down into this really tight right-hander. Yuri really braking super late. They're not getting anywhere near the apex, and it's a little bit scruffy now, the time falling away. That might even invalidate, and I think he did invalidate the lap there. What
a shame, but it's what we've just said, isn't it? They're struggling around here, and it's going to be costing a lot more than just Yuri, I'm sure. But he will come in the last corner, and since he was last on the leaderboards going in, he will start last, unless of course somebody somehow manages to get themselves disqualified from the session. And that means we can cut back to Mr. John then. I'm sure, Jack, you're going to be looking forward to this. If he can just finish the lap, he'll go P1.
I'll take over the commentary for this one. Obviously, Mr. John has made this race because of that incredible podium that he got in Singapore in Season 1. Everyone remembers it, of course. That's the race where I think only 5 or 6 cars finished. Mr. John was lucky enough to be the third across the line as he comes around this penultimate turn. I've been racing with Mr. John for nearly 10 years. Final corner for him now. He's going to go P1. He hasn't invalidated. Mr. John up to the line, and it is P1. It's a 138.4. What a driver.
Things we love to see.
I've got to say quickly on Mr. John, you know, you've been saying you're racing for him with him for 10 years. I've nearly been commentating on him for 10 years, back in the old TGP days. So it's great, Mr. John. He's a really steady driver, and you know, getting that podium when only 5 finished, and you know, he always seems to be there or thereabouts if things go wrong, doesn't he?
Consistency is what gets him up there. Of course, you mentioned TGP, and he got a few wins from that back in the day, and of course it's so good to see him get points in ILR. That was a competitive league, and then obviously the podium in JACKOCAR last season. Probably one of the highlights of his career.
Here comes Clyde. He's going to go P1 now, so we can stop celebrating. Clyde then, P1. And we'll sail on that last, actually, because where is Iceman? he's been on some pretty good form, hasn't he, recently? He's got into this race off the back of the last 2 races, I believe, where he got podiums in each of them. Singapore, ironically, just the same as Arnold as well. It was when he crashes, causes the safety car, and that directly benefits him. They're not doing it on purpose, but it's just a quirk that's come out of the new safety car rules. But it's gotten to this race, so he won't be complaining too much, and we'll see if he can take advantage. He's certainly been one of the most interesting drivers to look at recently, and look how close he's getting to the white lines. He's really risking it right here. And, he's risked it a bit too much. He's losing lots of time on that slide. It's a bad line as well to the final corner as a result, and he's losing time all the way to the line. He's only a second off the pace.
That's a man pushing for £50, that is.
Yeah, that's another man I've been racing with recently as well, Speed Iceman, and getting that all wrong in the final sector. I think I was having a look at the race director there. I think he was already half a second down on the time from Cloud Moza through the first 2 sectors, so unsurprisingly pushing hard to try and improve on that time. But Riley, by the way, is absolutely rapid in that second sector. He is purple through there, and are we about to see the bar being lowered further? Pole sitter at Silverstone Short in Season 2, this man Riley, isn't he?
Yeah, that's how he gained entry to this race. Of course, it is more impressive than Iceman's 2 podiums because he's had a slightly longer career. But here he comes through these final 2 turns as Riley. Can he put it on pole just like he did about 4 or 5 rounds ago?
Doesn't look like it.
1:35.7 to beat.
He locked up in the final sector, missed the apex after that double right-hander, got it completely wrong into braking, cost him dearly. But next up is someone who almost certainly won't beat him, Corey, unless we get miracles here.
Yeah,
what
he's
on
a man.
Earth is this? Look at it.
He's a man that. I think it's what we're expecting maybe next year from Aston Martin, but here comes Corey to the line. He should surely absolutely smash the time from Moza, and he does by 1.2 seconds. The bar has been lowered, and in the early exchanges we've seen the times the man at the top changing quite a bit, but I think we could be waiting quite a while before that lap time is beating, because Corey, we know, is very, very quick.
Yeah, and Corey here because of that pole that he got in Spain last season.
Maybe not surprising, he's actually done well for once, is it really? He's actually here for money this time. He put a bet on my dad not beating his dad at karts, and he lost, and I also beat him. We never got payment for it though, but he knows when money's involved, it's time to get serious, and that's why he's P1 at the moment. But Dexter out there sadly missed out on getting to the final 5 this season. He was in the playoffs, but was one of the first to be knocked out, but he can redeem himself for that. Round here, he's got a beautiful golden livery, by the way. Absolutely loving the chrome. It's been his style all season. I keep saying I'll need to be voting these guys on their best overall livery designer. He's certainly going to win me over with these ones at the minute, but he comes to the line, it's P4.
Yeah, well, P4 for Dexter. I'm not going to lie, it's not the tag you want, the most successful driver without a win. I'm sure one day he'll get the win on the board that he's looking for, and he goes 4th quickest at the minute. So a decent effort there from Dexter. Next up, it's Jordan. Where is he on track? He's in the final part of the lap, round the final couple of corners. Where is he going to go from the 6 times we have on the board so far? The Sheffield Wednesday man comes to the line and goes onto the front row. A 1:35.329, still some distance, 8/10 away from the lap time of Corey, but it's a pretty solid time. He's 4/10 clear of Moza, and that should see him into the top 10, you would think.
Yeah, that's Jordan, the Season 1 chase champion. Of course, gave himself a shot at the title in Brazil. But up next we've got MK Bourne, the first of our automatic drivers who gained entry to this race with his win in Baku. It's MK Bourne, and that win last season you may remember come at the perfect time. It advanced him to round 2, gave him the points lead to get all the way to China. Here he comes into this final complex, Owen.
Yeah, fortunately this season hasn't really gone to plan for him, but there's still time to redeem that, of course. Interesting livery as well. I'm liking this one in a weird way. But as he comes around the last 2 quarters, let's just hope he keeps it valid. Let's just hope he gets a good time to board. We've been longing to see a good performance from him all season long. What a time it would be to have it as he comes to the line, P4.
Well, yeah, 1:35.8 from MK Bourne. He certainly looked like he was attacking the lap in the final sector, but in the end it wasn't enough to move him up towards the front of the grid. So yeah, we're now getting into the business end. All these drivers, Jack, have all qualified automatically.
Absolutely, and this one is our first champion. This Camo Babo. We ran a rally league for 2 seasons on Dirt Rally 2.0, another Codemasters game. This man was absolutely dominant on it. He's coming here today with a purple and black helmet with a a car that definitely doesn't match it. Very good on dirt, but how good is he on tarmac? Through this final turn, Camo Babo, the man from Sheffield, up to the line. It's a 1:36.9.
Not the best lap in the world, unfortunately for him. But coming up next, a guy that's had 2 upset wins really this season. Well, in his career, you got to say Italy this season was a proper upset, but a brilliant performance. And
It was
the
a
same
Joker
with
win, wasn't it?
Joker win. Yeah, I think only the second of 2 Joker wins we've had in the entirety of JACKOCAR, and of course he won the very first JACKOCAR race as well. The man's writing all the history books for himself. And what a livery, by the way, tonight. I said this before the stream started. That is the best livery out there today. Loving it. But let's see if it translates into a good lap. As he comes round the final complex underneath the hotel. And just a few corners to go now. As we say, business centre qualifying. All to play for now. If you get a good position in the top 3 now, you'd expect to be finishing effectively in the top 10 by default. Could be crucial for strategy, so he wants this to be a good lap. Don't think he's expecting P1, but let's see where he goes. P7 might be a bit dodgy, that. He might not quite get the top 10 off that.
Yeah, okay, well, not be too pleased with that. 36.6. We were looking to try and get a much better performance in the race. So now we move to Thomas, don't we, who's out there on the racetrack at the minute, and he has gone through the first 2 sectors and doing pretty well, isn't he? So let's see, a lovely red car for him as he makes his way into the right-hander. Really tight, that one, so easy to lock up. Seen so many cars do that so far underneath the hotel, where you can buy a pint of Heineken for about 15 quid. No thank you. And round the final couple of corners comes TC, and where is he going to go in the order? We've got 10 times on the board. He's going to be surely in the top 10. Where's it going to be? He's onto the front row. 1 minute 35.1, and another driver slicing the gap down to Corey. Nobody can deny Corey thus far, but it's a decent effort there from TC, who goes on a 35.1, 6 tenths off the pace, but crucially up to second.
Yep, and here comes Jay Lukes, the 5-lap champion and 2-time race winner in JACKOCAR. He goes P1, it's a 1:34.2.
Here's Arnold. Now, he showed me this a bit before as well. I might have slightly jumped the gun by saying that OK Kizo's the best, because he's also very good. I forgot he showed me this one. He's been on the best form in the league we've seen in a while, hasn't he? He's been absolutely on fire, winning, I think, the last 2 in a row pretty much in dominant fashion, you've got to say, especially the last one in Singapore. So he's the man on form coming into this race, and he's got a beautiful livery to go with it. Joint best, we'll call it joint best, okay? We'll compromise. Well, let's see again. Will that translate into a good lap time? As he comes through the final sector now. No lockups in here, hits the apex. That's probably been the most difficult corner for it qualifying so far.
Yeah.
And no one really getting it perfect, it has to be said. But Arno doing a good job of it. And into the last 2 corners now. All looking smooth. Look to the timing sheet. Where's he going to go? There's the checkered flag. Well, not checkered flag, it's a checkered line across the track. But it's not P1, sadly.
P3 then, but I felt he got to the apex to that corner where everyone's struggling, but I just felt he overshot it a little bit and just killed that momentum running a little bit wide there, but you know, nonetheless, P3, solid effort. And now we move on to who are we going to now? Kyle, here he is then. The man that's been setting the lap times alight, and here he comes round the final couple of corners. The lap time of J-Look to beat is a 1 minute 34.2. That is a 1 minute 35.0. 4th on the grid for Kyle. And what do you think about that one, guys? I think he'll be slightly disappointed with that.
I think he will, but he might be playing the long game. Kyle, he's won 6 races this season, which is a league record, which he ties with Khalifa. So this man, he knows how to win races, but I don't think it's race over from P4. And speaking of Khalifa, here he comes through that triple chicane, running his Bahrain colours. We saw this livery in Australia, a race he won, which prevented Pete from winning his 4th race in his career. Into this very difficult 90 right, but Khalifa, as these drivers get faster and better, makes it look a lot easier. He's doing really well under the bridge.
Oh, he's in the wall, is he?
Sideways, and that's damage for Khalifa.
That'll put him wide here, he might invalidate it, but he just about keeps it on. He's got to get to the line. Put a time on the board, but it won't be a very good one. Oh, it's only P10, he might just fall outside there. And now we're waiting for the reigning champion. It's Pete then, coming through.
Tell you what, I just actually went on board with him before Khalifa ended his lap. He was purple through the first sector, a 16.9.
Look at Kyle, hold on.
Oh, Kyle needs to get out of the way, and he does. Maybe not the best way of getting out of the way, but he did nonetheless. So 2 purple sectors for Speed 9 up to this point. Is he going to deny Gio that pole position, which he currently holds by 3/10, or is Kyle potentially interrupted that? Oh, he's a little bit deep into there. That's a couple of tenths gone as he goes underneath the bridge. Owen Wyatt.
He lost time on the way into that last sector with Kyle. He's now lost even more time in the right-hander. But will it be enough to salvage pole? He's missed the apex in the penultimate corner as well. This last sector's not ideal, but will the first 2 sectors hold it up? Here comes Pete to the line. It's only P3. And that means J-Luke is on pole here in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, well, I'll be disappointed with that, Will Knight, and he put together a couple of phenomenal sectors, but at the final sector just wasn't to be. I'm looking at it now, and he did drop half a second in that final sector alone. I think the majority of it coming when he locked up in the entrance to that hotel sequence, and it's cost him dear.
Right then, let's see the grid then. For the All-Star race here in Abu Dhabi, it is J-Luke on pole from Corey second, the man who's actually sweated for once. His best career result of 19th still stands, so hopefully he'll beat that tonight. No guarantees. It'd be quite impressive that with 17th to not make it, but it is Corey. Pete is third, Arnaud fourth, Cal fifth with TC sixth, Jordan seventh, Clyde eighth, MK Bourne ninth, and Riley 10th. Then outside the top 10 we've got Khalifa, Dexter, OKK, Iceman, Camu Babo, Mr. John, and Yuri, who invalidated this time right at the start.
It's not very often we see almost a full grid get a lap time in. We normally see 4 or 5 not completed time, but tonight it's only Yuri starting from the back of the grid. But he has become somewhat accustomed to that throughout the season, as has J-Luke, but on the reverse. Taking, I think, his 5th pole if you include all the league pole positions that he's had this season. So I think we've got a decent looking grid here, boys.
Yeah, I think the grid's looking really nicely set up. It was an interesting qualifying session. I like that setup. You know, we get to see absolutely everyone come to the line, finish their laps, and you know the times tumble all the way through the session. And of course, sometimes you get that lottery that you spoke about at the top of the show when you get a little bit of rain. It can really mix things up as well, but the only thing that was different there was the change in light, which can sometimes affect track temperature, but I don't think it's too major on this game. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how this race pans out. You guys follow this week in, week out. Who do you think are the heavy hitters? Who do you think is looking good to try and put a fight in for the victory today?
Wow.
If you're going to go based on form, Arnold's your man, but never rule out J-Luke, never rule out Khalifa, Pete, Kyle. I think those 5 are the ones, but I'm going to put my money on Arnold for this.
I want to be a bit different here. I want to see who tries different strategies. I have just got that sneaking suspicion that we might see Corey finally get it right here. He's done so much practice for this, right? He has to.
More than anyone else, by the way.
So, surely, if there's going to be any opportunity for him to win a race, this is it. So he's on the front row. But the thing that might make this race is the strategy, because I said this before the race started. This is one of, I'd say, 2 tracks on the game where actually you'd want a 2-stop anyway. It's the standard, and so that is probably going to be slightly different for these guys, because obviously most of them do a 2-stop in races where it's not meant to be done. But here, it's a normal thing, so we'll see how they've actually prepared for that, because some might well be actually more equipped than others for this one.
As Camo Babo goes to the front of the pack. From 15th.
Yeah, lap of glory for him.
Yeah, he's got to do something special tonight. I think this might be it.
Well, he's getting a glory run at the front, getting the tyres up to temperature a little bit sooner than everyone else, but I think at the same time, I think they'll be dropping in temperature a little bit sooner than everyone else, so a bit counterproductive from Camababble, but hey-ho, he's getting a glory run at the front. If you're tuning in, folks, and you're having a look at the comment section, feel free to let us know who you think is going to be the race winner of this all-star race tonight. We've got a star-studded field, shall we say, so feel free to let us know who you think will win tonight. And towards the end of the race, we're always interested in who you think your driver of the day is. So you know, let us know your opinions on how the race unfolds. But yeah, looking forward to this one. We've got J-Luke on pole, Corey alongside, and that interesting Aston Martin potential tribute for 2021 livery with Knighton and Arnold in 3rd and 4th, Kyle 5th, and TC 6th. A very strong front of the grid Who can you see out of position behind that, maybe making a charge through the field, guys? Who do you think could be one to watch further down the field?
There's only one man, isn't there? Khalifa, and I'll tell you what, Iceman as well. So those two outside the top 10, Khalifa and Iceman, would be the ones I'd watch for sure.
I'd certainly also maybe have an eye on Camu, Babu and Yuri. They always seem to find themselves up there, no matter where they end up on the grid.
Camu Babo's already half a lap in front of everyone. So
Riley was also doing the same thing. You see, they're both practicing their lap ones, but this is where you do the real thing, people. And this is for proper stakes. It's a one race, 50 quid on the line. We've got J Luke on the left, it's Corey on the right, all 5 lights are on. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing in Abu Dhabi. And let's see if J Luke can get a good start. He's pretty good. I believe it's actually going to be Pete having more of a go on Corey, but he backs up into turn 1. Kyle trying to go around there so that Arnold gets shoved off the track. And TC wants to have a go. There's a lot of wind flying off in that first section. We should probably look at that actually because they're all off the track. Virtual safety car. And that's because someone's gone right off the track. It's OKK. And like I said, there was a lot of front wind flying everywhere.
Kilkeke's actually got a left rear puncture in there as well. So,
yes.
So a left rear puncture for Okeke. Perhaps he and Khalifa came together. Khalifa's got wing damage, and Okeke has got that left rear puncture, and he's going to have to crawl around to the pitch. He'll be absolutely gutted that it's not a full safety car because his race is in tatters already unless we get a full safety car further down the line. Oh dear.
That's really bad news for him. He's got a long way to go back to the pits as well. And a puncture on this game, you have no idea how slow you have to go until you actually get one. He's blown it up. It's completely blown now at the left rear. He's gone too fast, and it's now effectively done this game's version of delaminating. And you're going to have to go so slow as we go green at the front again.
The last time we saw... Go on, Andy, sorry.
Sorry, I've never seen that before because I've never raced in simulation damage. That's incredible how bad that is.
I was just going to say that the last time we saw a lap 1 rear puncture was in Australia, round 3 of this season when Jordan lost it and he was lapped before he got to the pit lane on lap 1.
Might see the same thing again. Let's see how OKK's getting on because you really do. You have to go so slow, and even when you're going slow, that final sector, and even in corners like that, you're just spinning it up. And well, I hope the leaders are engaged with this because this could get quite interesting soon. And that's the order messing about again, I believe. That's not people kidding.
Yeah, that's very strange. I don't know what's going on there, but
Cody
is absolutely not in the pits, so that's a strange one. He's still running in second place, I believe, so that's ignore that one, folks.
Khalifa's out of the race. He's into the bar and the pit lane entry. And NK Bourne did get in. NK Bourne did get in. OKK is still spinning around. He's still got a long way to go here. And while the guys behind, all they have is straights and a couple of chicanes where they catch him here. That's going to be pretty interesting. I reckon they might well just catch him. He's round again. No, this is interesting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I can't believe how difficult that is. That looked an absolute handful. And it's a real shame for Okeke. His race in tatters already, just like his rear tyre, and things not going to plan. The front 6, though, all remaining where they started as the timing screens sort themselves out again. The only man that's been a big move is Kyle, actually, has made one up the inside on Arnold, so just ignore everything I've just said. The top 6, there has been a change. Kyle up the inside, through he goes. And
no, look at this. Look at where OKK's on the apex. Oh no! Oh, it goes him and J Luke. That is so bad. And look, everyone's having to go off the track. Safety car. No, it's virtual safety car. They've all had to go off the track to avoid. J Luke will be absolutely furious. But I did say it. I said it was coming. And I don't really know what OKK was thinking. Don't drive back onto the apex.
All the damage as well. They've all driven over that. Is anyone going to get a puncture from that, Owen?
They're all pitting regardless. Apart from TC. TC stays out, but they're all pitting. Oh, Iceman's hit the wall on the way to the pit lane. He's been disqualified for blocking the pit lane. And there's a front lane all over the pit lane entry. That's not really very useful for these guys. What a dramatic start to this race.
Absolute mayhem. Absolute mayhem in the opening laps of this race. There's simulation damage causing all sorts of action. Okeke round and in a spin and then right in the middle of the racing line. You called it. You said it was going to happen. I thought it was unlikely, but it did happen. And bang, the leader, J-Luke, piles straight into the back of the spinning car. And that is J-Luke, Khalifa, Okeke and Speed Iceman all out of the race before it barely begun as we get back underway from that VSC. So all the leaders choosing to pit apart from TC, Dexter and Mr. John. And did Cody pit as well, or is his name still glitching?
He pitted as well, and Kyle, I believe, jumped Pete in that, and so DRS is not enabled. Hopefully he can get into that 1 second, because he's on the sorts. That could be a good race for the lead, that. I would not really want to see what Iceman and Jelly think about that, because they'll both be equally fuming, I imagine, with that. That is just two super bizarre incidents there in the early stages, and, well, it'll be interesting to see what TC, Dexter and Mr. John do now, because I guess they're just going to have to hope for, another virtual safety car or something, because we've got some fighting between the leaders. It's Pete, actually, is the one all over the back of Kyle, and that could actually help the likes of TC pull away a little bit. We'll see, though. We'll see how that plays out for those guys later.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think TC just has to kind of hope that these guys get caught up in a bit of traffic here with Mr. John, Dexter, and of course just fighting with one another. That, as you say, so that's got to be his aim. What is the quota on 50% races for safety cars? Is it 2, 3, 4?
Five.
Two of them already.
So I mean, there's still 3 in the remaining 20 odd laps. There's every possibility, 24 laps that we will see some. So TC deciding to go against the grain and take a gamble, you could say. So let's see how it works out for him. The Belgian trying something different, and who knows, will these guys trip over each other, and the guys that haven't stopped yet? We'll have to wait and see. Things are going to get very, very interesting. But the closest battle on track at the minute appears to be between Y-Racer and Riley, down in 10th and 11th. And is Riley getting a run on him as they run down towards the braking zone for that first chicane? Doesn't look like it at the moment. Cody also homing in on Mr. John, but we'll go to that in a minute as Riley tries to go round the outside. Can't do it, but you think he should surely make that move on the brakes at the end of the straight, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. I did warn these guys earlier that there's no stewards panel tonight, obviously with it being a one-off race, but I didn't think they'd actually listen to me. What a cracking start to this Abu Dhabi All-Star race. First 3.5 laps in.
Yeah, Corey going for it round the outside on Mr. John. He should get that one done. Yeah, candy for my baby. Easy peasy. Corey up into 3rd place, and that's one of the potential obstacles between him and TC out of the way.
Jordan as well got by Clyde on the DRS, so he is now up into 8th place. And Riley and Yuri going for that contact. Riley off the track completely and then straight into the back of Yuri as well. With simulation damage, that could well be a little bit of damage to Riley's front wing. Let's just have a look. Yep, it's completely gone actually on the left hand side, and he's hit the wall again. That'll be into the pit lane at the end of this lap. I wouldn't be at all surprised. And Mr. John has been dispatched by Kyle as well on this lap.
Well, interesting fact there, 1 minute 40.3 from TC, 1 minute 38.4 from Corey, 2 seconds quicker, and that's while overtaking Mr. John. I know Mr. John wasn't much of an obstacle, it probably helped him with the slipstream, but that is incredible pace from Corey. He's already on the back of Dexter, and this should not be too difficult, you wouldn't think, as Dexter's a little bit out of shape, not got his line right at all, and Corey's almost pushing him through the hairpin. He's wide now, Dexter. It should still give him the exit he's looking for, but Corey still pulls alongside, and you would think by the time they get to the braking zone he's gone, and he's already gone sailing past with the DRS up into 2nd place, and now the 10-second hunt of TC begins.
And there's Pete passing Mr. John as well. And so that's Mr. John cleared. That was probably one of the more difficult ones to clear. We know how aggressive he can be sometimes, but luckily for these guys, they didn't decide to be. I think Dexter's a bit kinder with him.
Yeah, and if I know Mr. John, then let me tell you, I know Mr. John. He's one of the best defenders. He doesn't have the outright paces, some of these boys, but when it comes to defending, he is one of the best.
Cloud going round the outside of Jordan. Is he going to make it work? Oh, that's a beautiful move from Cloud Mazza. You know, he just squeezed Jordan into the apex of the corner. He just had that extra little bit of overspeed with the DRS, the momentum into the corner, swooped in and covered that inside line off beautifully by going right round the outside and moving up into 8th place. Tidy move there from Mazza, and he's now up into 8th place. Lovely stuff.
Cloud actually coming off the back of his best result this season with that P5 in Belgium. So he's well up for it tonight in a field of a lot faster drivers, but you know, we've seen what can happen in the first 3 laps, so he'll be gunning for that 50 quid as much as anybody else. Good move on Jordan.
Yeah, and Arnold's made a nice move on Mr. John. It was pretty easy. I don't think Mr. John's got any great pace at all at the minute to even try his defensive skills. He's just been passed with ease there by Arnold, and he climbs up into 6th position. Mr. John down to 7th.
And there's Kyle passing Dexter as well. I wonder what happened to Arnold, if he had to change his front wing or if he was teammates actually with one of the people that pitted, because obviously there's still technically 10 teams, but you never know who your teammate is in the multiplayer cars. So there's a chance that Arnold could have been held by, say, Corey, because they just happened to be in the same pit box, because I don't think he would have been this far behind normally, because I believe he was, you know, around Kyle and certainly ahead of Pete, wasn't he? So
he had just been overtaken by Kyle, hadn't he, before the OKK incident and with J-Loop there.
So I do wonder if he got held in a pit box, because obviously a lot of time has been built now between those two, and that was thanks to the pit stop. Or he could even have just had difficult time avoiding the crash itself. Obviously it did block off the entire corner, didn't it? But yeah, Arnold will not be too happy with it anyway. Hopefully he can come back, because they know what pace he's got. And I'm sure he'll be able to show it off later on. But it is Corey who looks like he's in the best position so far today. Because Kyle, even on the newer soft, or well, sorry, the better tyre, the soft, not really catching him much.
Well, there's a quiz one for you guys. I mean, I've not done many 50% races. I've not actually commentated at all in this game in a 50% race up till now. Medium tyres from what, lap 4? Can Corey get them to the end?
He's got a 2-stop anyway.
Mandatory 2-stop.
Mandatory 2-stop, okay. So I was just wondering if TC was going to try a different strategy, but if it's mandatory 2-stop, then you know, it's not really any advantage in maybe stretching that out then. So
No,
you know,
not at all.
not at all. So okay, TC then at the minute being reeled in at quite a rate of knots, and I think Corey with a really strong advantage as things stand, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Corey, by the way, he said to me earlier in the week, if he wins this race, he wants the £50 prize donated to a brain charity. He wasn't very clear on which one in particular, so we'll have to get that information off of him. But if he wins, the money is going to charity.
No, that's really nice to hear. And as Speed Knighton goes down the inside of Dexter, secures 4th place, and seems like these guys that haven't pitted during the VSC are unable to put up much of a fight as MK Bond's got a 3-second penalty. What are you seeing, Owen?
Mr. John, nearly into the back of Clyde, had to go to Narnia to avoid an accident, and he had to lose position to Jordan as well. Arnold now getting past Dexter. Looks like he's got it on cleanly. He's onto the back of Pete now. And Mr. John's surely about to lose positions to Yuri and, well, maybe not Calvert for a while. But it's starting down to P10 now, so tricky lap for him. But like I say, that is Arnold now catching Pete. Go on, lad, start fighting a little bit.
Yeah, well, that could be quite a battle. Those guys quite similar on pace, so they both obviously opted for those medium compound tyres. Kyle, interestingly, chose the softs at his pit stop, so you know, he might be pulling away from these guys at the minute, but he could be reeled in at a later stage, as TC has now came into the pits and he's getting rid of that set of soft tyres after 7 laps. Up onto the jacks he goes, a set of the medium compound, the yellow wall tyre, and away he goes. Fresher tyres, who knows, maybe come the end of the race with him doing a more even spread on tyre life between stops, that might come to his aid.
Yeah, he's somebody that would also benefit from a safety car now on this alternate strategy. Likewise, Mr. John and Dexter, who is actually in the pits right now.
And putting on the mediums as well. And he will come out in P11, just in sort of no man's land really. But let's go back to Arnold, because he's all over the back of Pete now. He's closing them quite quickly actually as it happens, and he's gone up into P3 with relative ease. Let's see if he can catch back up to Kyle now. Hopefully that'll be good for him, because like I say, on his form you'd expect him to get up there, and hopefully soon, as TC makes some moves already on the fresher tyres up to 7th.
That was close. That was very close between he and Y-Racer. I think he had such an overspeed, did TC, that he thought he cleared him a little bit quicker than he did, and Y-Racer almost had to turn away briefly, but very, very close between them there. And TC breezes past, as you would expect on those fresh tyres, up into 7th place now, so he's going well. Corey 3.3 clear of Kyle, who's a further 3.3 clear of Arnold in 3rd. But tiny move there from Arnold on Knighton. Do you think he might have a slight pace advantage? Is he going to try and break that DRS and secure that 3rd place at the moment?
I'm hoping he'll try and catch Carlo, because Carlo's tyres will start to fall off a little bit, won't they? I mean, he will probably pit before the rest of them do. Before that, I imagine Arnold would start to catch him a little bit. That crossover might already be starting to happen, I'm not too sure. We'll find out. I do like to say believe that Arnold's pretty quick anyway. But the big thing of all the way about really is Corey. Penalties could play a part, of course, and safety cars too. Like we say, there are 3 more safety car slots to be taken up. I'm astounded we haven't had a full safety car yet, especially with that lap 3 accident.
Corey, notorious for penalties as well. He loves a penalty.
Yeah. He not the cleanest driver when it comes to track limits, and again with this sector 3, not the easiest thing in the world actually to keep it penalty free.
Just the one warning so far, saying that.
Yes, good. Hopefully for his sake he keeps that up. Hopefully for our sake he doesn't, as TC continues his rise up the grid. He wants to be P5 pretty soon, but he's using all his ERS to get into this fight, and that might cost him, because they're both actually, him and Jordan are catching Clyde, but they've got really no ERS really left to deploy, while Clyde has got plenty, but they both have DRS. This could be quite an interesting fight actually. Who takes advantage of what in this? But certainly TC wants to get a move on quickly. But here comes Jordan first.
Yeah, here goes, round the outside, he's going to try on Mozza. TC watching on and actually overcooking it on the brakes there. As Jordan sticks his nose in the gap that was going to disappear, makes contact with Cloud and a side pod to left front, and he has a little half spin, and TC says thank you very much, I'll take that, and moves up into 6th place, and now he can be the one to start attacking Cloud. So Jordan, that triple chicane, it's so difficult to go side by side through there, and in the end it didn't quite work out, and he loses the place to TC. And as you said, you need to try something a little bit different. If you're using up your ERS in the straights, try and make it work in the corners, but no, wasn't to be, and Jordan drops back behind TC for now, who is really looking like lining up Cloud any moment now to make that move. As Knighton picks up a 3-second time penalty. We're now in lap 10 out of 28. Kyle dropping back a little bit from Corey out front as we stay with TC for now. You'd think maybe in the next couple of laps Kyle will be in the pits, and if not before then he'll be getting reeled in by Arnold and perhaps these guys pretty soon. We'll see when he decides to make that stop, but TC at the minute looking like an almost certainty to make this move on Cloud very soon. Needs to be careful on the brakes there, nearly running into the back of the black car in front, but surely Owen down this straight, this should be candy for my baby.
Yeah, not much ERS to use, but there should be enough to get him by. What he's going to have to worry about is Clyde now, because he will stay in the DRS. We often see this in real life as well, where you get past in that first DRS zone, but then you come back in the second one. But it looks like TC's been pretty good for the chicane. Clive was very conservative for that chicane, and he was the same in the last lap. That's why Jordan went for the move, as he now gets overtaken actually by Yuri on the DRS. But that's why Jordan went for it, because Jordan, I was on board with him, and you could see Jordan was actually surprised just how slow Clyde was into the chicane, and that's why he sort of snuck around the outside, but it just didn't quite work out for him. I think, honestly, if Jordan went for a fully committed move, he would have got that done easily, but he just wasn't expecting the speed, and that might help Yuri to get by if he can catch Clyde, because Clyde certainly seems to not be as confident as the rest of them actually out there.
Yeah, of course. I was thinking maybe it would have been down to the tyre life against TC why he wasn't able to come straight back at him. But if you're saying the same thing about Jordan and Yuri having both been on similar strategies, then that almost throws it out the window. So maybe Cloud not really too happy with his setup, not too happy with how the car's handling with the default setup at the minute. On this racetrack, still getting to grips with it and maybe struggling out there. But lap 11 now out of 28. Cody holding that gap at around 4 to 4.3 seconds. And Arnold is starting to reel in Kyle now, down to 2.5 seconds as Camel Babel is now up into 8th place because Jordan is in the pits and getting a new front. No, he's not in the pits. That was. Oh, he is in the pits.
Yeah, he's new front white for the contact on that last lap, I'm going to have to assume. Didn't actually see any damage on his car, but he wouldn't be chasing the front wing for no reason, and we did see him have that contact with Clarence, so it wouldn't at all surprise you that's what he was in for. I believe that also makes him the first two-stopper who's in a position to maybe be in the top 10. I don't know really why Riley's so far off actually compared to him, or why he's on the hards, but we haven't really been paying too much attention to him. But certainly Jordan, first guy who's still in the top 10 on that two-stop, and MK Bourne joining him on that two-stop as well, but he's going to be way behind even Riley.
Yeah, what's interesting in this race, lads, is Corey hasn't totally checked out like a lot of these drivers had feared. I just wonder if he's facing himself or thinking more about the money, if that's how he thinks, if he's that way inclined. But that gap isn't as big as one would like to think it would be with such a talent behind the wheel. What do you think, guys?
I think he's doing all he needs to do, really, isn't he? There's sort of an element of, is there a point in blowing your tyres? Because there's almost an inevitability that there will be a safety car later on. You don't want to risk having any accidents at this point, because that gap will go back down anyway. What this does do is that if there's any yellow flags or anything, he still has a decent gap, you know, to make the first choice. He's got plenty to risk, actually, with that gap. It's not massive, but it's enough, I think, at the moment. And, as you can see, with Arnold catching Kyle, that gap could become quicker pretty rapidly if they start fighting hard, or if Kyle pits.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think Corey's just pacing himself. I think he's just keeping things under control. You know, there's absolutely no need to take any risks, no need to go out there attacking every corner, every lap, picking up a hatful of time penalties, and then a safety car comes out with 5 laps to go, 10 laps to go, and then you are not. Then you're really hurting yourself, and you might even drop outside the top 5 even, depending on everyone else's penalties. So yeah, I think Corey's just playing the long game and just taking it easy. It's almost like what we see Mercedes do when they dominate Formula 1 these days. Look, if they've got the pace, anyway, look after the engines and do it in the slowest possible time. So win the race in the slowest possible time, and you're looking after the car, you're looking after yourself, and it's just how to keep things under control. And we've seen them master that in the past, and perhaps that's what Cody's trying to do here.
Maybe resembling his favourite driver, that being Lewis Hamilton. So he is starting to fall gradually away now, as since we've been discussing this. 5.8 seconds now as we come up to finish lap 12 for E1.
Just want to point this out, TC is absolutely flying, and he's potentially going to be on the freshest tyres at the end of the race if he does this staggered pit stop again later on, because he's catching up to Pete at a relatively quick pace. He's already pulled 6.2 on Clyde, and if he keeps this up, you never know what'll go down at the end. Safety cars, etc. So do he find himself in a position at the end where he's near the leaders on good tyres, he could be a threat in this, because he really is flying along. Really impressive, this. Something we've been missing all season.
All season, yeah. He got that one podium in Baku, I believe, in round 2, and we just haven't seen him since. Although he did return to form in Singapore before that incident with Risky with a couple laps to go, which you definitely didn't shout at, did you?
I didn't bang the table when that happened out of frustration. Couldn't believe that. I was so sad to watch that. I do it because I care, as I say.
Yeah, his pace is still there. He's just starting to put it together now. Shame it's so late in the season.
He's made a second on this lap on Pete alone. And with Arnold 9 to DRS of Kyle, that could cost them time as well. Sadly, there's no prizes for second place, is there? But, there's nothing, but it could be on for his best JACKOCAR race result at Season 2 if he keeps going at this rate, which would be good for him.
Yeah.
I tell you what I'm really impressed by in this phase of the race is it's Arnold. Not only the way he's reeled in Kyle, obviously Kyle on the soft tyre, you'd kind of expect that a little bit, but the way he's pulled clear of Pete, I think that's very impressive. 4.5 seconds now since he made that move earlier in the race. He really seems to be putting a really solid stint together here. And you said you fancied him at the start of the Grand Prix, and I'm impressed with this. It might not be enough to topple Corey on the day, we'll have to wait and see. But he's doing everything he can to give himself a fighting chance, and now moving on lap 14 at the halfway stage here to within range of having a go on Kyle pretty soon. So let's see how Kyle attempts to defend this one, because this could be an important battle later on in the race once they've switched tyres around. So let's see what Arnold can do then, as he tries to take a wide entry into the corner, catapult the car out of there, get on the throttle as nicely as he can. He set it up beautifully. DRS open, no need to even use the ERS. Kyle, on the other hand, isn't even bothering with his overtake. Arnold breezes past, and he is up into second place. Lovely driving so far from him, and he's deservedly up into second. Tidy move.
Oh, and Pete Vaughan goes for a spin.
TC now up the inside on Knighton. Is he going to make it work? Knighton keeps his nose in there, but he can keep it there no longer. TC with those fresher tyres gets the exit he's looking for and breezes past. But Knighton, we know he's a fighter. We know he likes to go for the gap. He's going to go steaming down the outside of TC. Is he going to make it work? You know what? He is going to make it work. That was brilliant from Knighton.
That's the Pete we remember from Season 1. What a move.
was not shy on the brakes whatsoever, left plenty of space for TC on the inside, and he breezed past. Great confidence on the brake pedal there, wasn't it?
That was superb driving.
Warm the tyres.
In the pit lane.
In the pit lane. Yeah, just going back to Arnold, he said to me earlier in the week he was worried that this season break, if you will, so the this race and the charity race next week, if it was going to take him out of form. So I wonder if he's playing the bigger picture, trying to keep up the good results, the momentum which will carry him through to Brazil. And, well, we've seen he can race for pace against Kyle. So I just wonder if he's thinking long term for the championship more than anything. It's a non-points race, but
I don't know if you saw this there, but MK Bourne's retired car was parked in the middle of the pit lane. Yeah, and it just cost Kyle about a second there. And, you know, with TC's pace at the minute, if he can get past Pete and get clear of him, genuinely, that could be a problem for him later on.
Yeah, I think TC really needs to get the elbows out here. We know Knighton likes to fight. I think TC with the 5-lap fresher tyres really needs to get this move done right now. Yellow flag out there, but here comes TC. Is he going to get it done in the brakes this time? He is going to be up the inside. He is going to get it stopped, and he is going to be up into third place. But Knighton, as you'd expect, switches back to try and give him the preferred exit coming out of the corner. Despite the 5-lap older tyres, he's still with TC. He's still causing a threat. He's still making life difficult for the Belgian, and you know what, once again he's made it work round the outside, this time not as difficult as the previous one, didn't need to be as brave, and he continues to be a thorn in the side of TC. Great stuff from Knighton, holding him up.
Yeah, I don't know why TC didn't just wait to pass him on that straight. He needs to do that next time. I mean, he's had that twice now. He's seen what Pete's going to do. It's been telegraphed clearly. Don't make the same mistake again, TC, or surprise him somewhere else if you can. But this is costing a massive amount of time. These guys now, TC 8 seconds behind Arnold.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, sometimes the racer in you just want to try and make the move done at the moment you can. But you know, sometimes you just need that little bit of tactical play. Play different games on the racetrack, surprise your opponent, and just wait it out. We've seen that in real life Formula 1. I think at Spa a few times, haven't we? Where it's no you go, no you go, and we've seen it, of course, in eSports as well. Will TC go for the after you technique on Knighton this time at the end of the first long straight? We'll have to wait and see. That's 16 now out of 28, and Knighton almost parking it on the apex there, killing TC's momentum out of the corner. And I tell you what, Knighton has played that absolutely beautifully. That was excellent driving there from Knighton. He just powers off the corner, and TC's left, wheeling him in at the end of the straight. But you know what? It might actually not work for Knighton, because this time TC can't make that move, and he will get the chance to set it up at the second straight. So that might have been counterintuitive there for Knighton by pulling away in the first part.
Bad exit. He's going to have to give it everything. And you know what? He might just close in. Here he comes, TC. It's just not going to be close enough. How frustrating this is for him.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. He'll be so disappointed in himself. Let's just give you an idea of how much this is affecting him, guys. This was lap 9, 39.1, 39.2, 39.4, 39.6. Last 2 laps, 141.9, 141.8. He's more than 2 seconds a lap slower than what he was before he was fighting with Knighton. This is costing him dear.
As Corey pits, Andy, from the lead.
So Corey into the pits then, and he can now run to the end, of course, because it is, of course, a mandatory 2-stop, pitted under the VSC, now makes that second stop and can run to the end, on go a set of the medium compound tyres. Remember, he started on softs, he's gone medium, and he's going medium again, and now he can run to the conclusion of this Grand Prix. The only thing that could really hurt him now is a virtual safety car or a full safety car, because things are looking very good for Corey.
And there's a lot of fights out there as well.
Between Pete and TC, isn't he, Corey?
Yeah, he is.
This could be the undoing of his race, potentially, if there's any accidents in these fights, because these could get quite, TC will be frustrated. He had the crash last week as well with Risky. You've also got Kyle and Clyde. Maybe Kyle getting a bit frustrated there. But surely TC, no, he's doing it again. He's leaving himself no ERS to fight back with. And that's the thing, now Corey's all over this. TC could get absolutely mugged here, and all it's going to do is hold up Corey, and this is where incidents happen as Kyle gets over or gets past Clyde.
I tell you what, guys, Arnold would be absolutely loving this if these two could hold Corey for a good period of time. It will be difficult though. given the difference in tyre performances. Speed, Knighton tries round the outside again. This time TC's having none of it. He squeezes them up against the curb. That's aggressive driving from TC, but it's worked. Corey says thank you very much, slivers up the inside of Knighton and makes it work. And this time TC got the elbows out. He said, no, I've had enough of this. I'm going to squeeze you right up against the curb. And it was fair enough. It was tough racing, but it was fair enough racing. And TC has finally dealt with Knighton, and he should now be able to break away, because he's now managed to get a car between he and Knighton, but surely for not much longer, because Corey is absolutely flying.
I imagine Pete will hit this lap. I think his tyres have finally gone. In fact, he does come in as Corey all over the back of TC. Look at this run on the pit straight.
Down to start finish straight. Not a place you'd usually see a move. Can Corey sweep round the outside? No. He'll try and come back on the exit with that extra tyre grip, but no, it's not a quick enough run, a long enough run, and TC getting onto the curb there, the back end stepping out on that red car, and then Corey has a look to the end. Can't do that, and TC has it covered for now, and this is helping Arnold all the more as things continue. TC doing everything he can to help out his Belgian counterpart, and look at that coming out of the corner. TC this time, the man so slow in the throttle, parking it on the apex, but Corey will now have that DRS and will power past the Belgian going down the straight. What will TC do? Will he do what Knighton's been doing all afternoon, or all evening I should say, and come straight back at him? He'll struggle because he's not got much ERS and he's on 9 lap older tyres than Corey, so I think that battle is as good as done.
Yeah, he'll pull away now, Corey, but certainly wasn't a comfortable position for him to be in, especially on that way up the hill. His heart must have been going there when TC lost it. That could so easily have spun back into his path. But that could be the big challenge for Corey Dunn. If we get no safety cars now, that could be him set for the victory. But if we do get a safety car, that puts everyone back into it, and Corey could be the one finding himself under the pressure because he's on the mediums. You get a safety car, they might all put on the sauce now. They might all do that anyway.
You never know. Corey, by the way, picked up his second warning on that previous lap there.
Yeah, so there's a big cut. He took a bollard with him on that last lap, trying to get by Pete as Arnold pits.
So Arnold into the pits. Anyway, that's a really interesting point you say with Cody picking up his second warning. Remember, Arnold, not a single penalty thus far, so he needs to be careful with that, Cody. It was what we spoke about earlier on, isn't it? About just managing his race, not making any mistakes. A safety car could throw that up in the air because the field will bunch up. If you mount up your penalties, you could potentially have your race up in smoke if a safety car is out. But we've got Arnold coming back out onto the track into some clean air, and he's in 4th place, and he'll run to the end now on those soft compound tyres. Let's see how he gets on.
Does feel like the best he's going to achieve is second, unless he really does just start setting some lightning laps. Does feel a bit inevitable that Corey has this one. There's nothing really that would suggest we're going to get any accidents anytime soon either. Only 12 people left. They've been very well behaved after that first wee pile up at the start.
Well, anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does. So, or anything can happen in JACKOCAR, it usually does, shall we say.
It does as well, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Well, we've already seen the race leader wiped out by a spinning punctured back marker, so if that can happen, I'm pretty sure the safety car can come out and really spice things up as TC picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple corner cut warnings. Cody then, on lap 19 out of 28, is 4 seconds clear of TC, with Kyle in 3rd, going to the end on those mediums, and Arnold in 4th. So, what do we think then about Arnold then? He's now clear of Speed, Knighton. TC looks well clear of that now as well, with Knighton potentially going to try and come back at them, but he looks like he's too far back. What do we think then? Arnold, best hope, trying to get up into 2nd place. Do you think he can get that far up? Is that a realistic target from you?
I think so.
Well, TC's still got to make his second stop, as has Mr. Film, so as soon as I say that. Yeah. So I'd like to think Arnold should be on the podium. I'm not sure how Kyle is going to get on, as he was the first bit out of this group. But yeah, Arnold should be looking at a podium, definitely.
Yep, and away goes TC now then. And he should be joining this race. Well, this is going to be quite close actually with Knighton, I think. They're both going underneath the track at the same time, but TC's a lot tighter than what Knighton is. But I think Knighton's going to be clear and gone just about. TC rejoins in 5th place, and now we can set about hunting Knighton down. They're both on fresh-ish tyres. Knighton's only done a 1 lap extra, but TC on the grippier, faster, soft compound. So you think if he wants to get into the top 4, he wants to get that move done on Knighton pretty early on, doesn't he? Before those tyres start to degrade. And that's the issue that TC had there. If he cleared him sooner, he would have got that advantage on Knighton and probably would have come out ahead of him, but it's not to be and he can now begin his pursuit and try and get back into those top 4 places. But yeah, Arnold against Kyle, I think that's going to be a very interesting one, because once again you've got Arnold hunting down Kyle, and yeah, I think that could close up again at the end of the race, just like it did at the end of the first stint.
I think it's certainly something we should keep our eye on for sure, because it could well be those two fighting for the championship on November 26th. So hopefully they close it up, and hopefully they give us a bit of a show. As Mr. John, by the way, the last driver to make his second mandatory stop. So that's all the pit stops done, all the ones we're expecting at least.
So it's 8 to go then here in Abu Dhabi. Corey has now got that out to 8.2 seconds, so he can even afford a penalty or two now. He will still be in a relatively comfortable position. And certainly if Arnold catches Kyle, that will just make that gap a bit bigger. Arnold to set his best lap of the race, 1.2 seconds quicker than his last best. So he will certainly be catching up to Kyle. TC has already arrived on the back of Pete's car. That didn't take too long, did it? But we know how difficult it was for him to get by last time. You'd imagine this time will be a little bit easier. You can see Pete all over the road getting penalties, really struggling, it appears, for grip already. So yeah, it should be easy for TC, but we said that last time, look how long it took.
Yeah, interesting one as well. Arnold took 1.1 seconds out of Kyle on that last lap, so it certainly seems like, unless Kyle made a mistake there, that he should be able to get to Kyle before the end of the race. We'll have to keep an eye on that one to see how that pans out, as this battle, which we've been watching all evening, continues. And TC this time goes down the outside, not got much ERS left, and he's clear of Speed 9 by the time we get to the braking zone. But, you know, Speed 9, we've seen this all night, and I think we're going to see it again. They've got similar tyre life, so, you know, there's not going to be much difference on the traction out of this corner. And as soon as he clicks the overtake on and sticks the DRS letterbox wide open, he's going to do the exact same thing again. TC will cover the inside, Speed 9 with the overspeed will just fly past round the outside, and that's a hat-trick. 3 times tonight, Knighton's done that, and he's through. TC tries to fight it back, and that doesn't quite work out. Little half spin, and Knighton says thank you very much, and I think that may be a little bit revenge for TC squeezing him a little earlier on.
Importantly, no damage though between those two. Just good racing, very hard, but good racing.
Yep, absolutely.
TC is going to be the angriest person in the place by the end of tonight. That's if Riley and Dexter don't have a little accident there. They were fighting as well. They did actually make a bit of contact through the chicane, so they aren't the only people getting close and personal. TC and Pete, because we've also got Riley and Dexter for P10, and Riley on 15-lap old hards. You'd expect that fight to be over pretty soon.
Riley and Dexter, by the way, they've made contact in the last 2 league races. Dexter not been the happiest with Riley, so this one is a little bit personal. Dexter will certainly want to make the move and make a point when he does it.
So TC back on Pete's tail. Surely he's not going to do the same thing for like the 4th or 5th time in this race. Surely.
I think he is. No, the overtake is not in operation this time, so I think he's figured out the magic formula, and he's going to wait this time. Is he going to have a look at Knighton up the inside? Absolutely not. He's just going to bide his time, charge that battery. Knighton has also got plenty of battery in his pocket, but he won't have this giant letterbox opening in the rear wing though, will he? And TC opens it up then, and this is going to be a chance to give Knighton a taste of his own medicine. Knighton goes to the inside, TC unable to close in at all there. So, I mean, they're running the same setup. It's almost strange to see that he just doesn't have the speed in a straight line to attack Knighton. I think it's probably because Knighton was applying some of his overtake there, and indeed he was, because he's down at 8%.
Yeah, CC on the right the same, so it certainly feels like Pete is probably the better racer at the moment at this stage of the game. He's got all he needs to keep TC behind, and that's really going to frustrate the Belgian, but I believe Pete probably has more penalties than TC anyway, so in the grand scheme of things TC gets him anyway, but he probably doesn't know that. He probably isn't even thinking about that at this stage, and yeah, that's getting quite close between those two. Surely someone's going to have to give eventually.
Yeah, if you're a racer, you always want to finish your head on the track, regardless of the the time penalties. That's always the goal, isn't it? I mean, obviously, if you're in a championship battle at a crucial stage, you play the percentage game, don't you? But TC, they won't be thinking about that. We're wanting to get ahead of this man and try and push on up the road. I mean, there is a mammoth 14.5 seconds up to Arnold from here, but you never know. Safety car in the next couple of moments, or any potential penalties for the guys in front. This is a track that you do get plenty of penalties on, but this time TC's actually going to go for it, so he's changed it again, and he's going to go steaming down the outside again, and he's going to get the move done again before the breaking point. But we've seen this story before. This is about chapter 6, and I think the same story is going to end in the same way, because Knighton gets the perfect exit once again coming out of there. TC deploys all he's got left of his overtake, and Knighton is just going to do the exact same thing again. Comes steaming down the outside. Deja vu, but TC this time finds it. He goes up the outside, gives him the
front wing's gone. Front wing's gone.
But he can't do it, and the front wing is damaged. Oh, the frustration must be mounting so high here for TC.
He's going to want to kick something in a minute. He's going to be absolutely furious if that's just happened to him. I don't know where that bit of front wing landed. Yeah, it's certainly
it's on the
somewhere in
racing
the
line
corner.
at
It
the
is
inside of that second corner, Owen.
potential of punctures then if they hit that. Sadly, there's no real good camera angles on it, but that would surely be TC into the pit lane soon. No, he's going to stick with it. I would have preferred him to...
Like he's struggling.
Well, he will in a minute, trust me. With that type of damage, you'll start to see the struggle. But look at this, the fight for second place then. Let's see how these two are with their racecraft. Is Arnold going to be smart with his overtaking, or is he going to be TC Chapter 7? Just with slightly different rules. He's got a lot more ERS to play with here, and Kyle's got practically none left. So this should be extraordinarily simple. But it's Kyle he's trying to pass here. Kyle, he's going to be aggressive here, isn't he? So this should be an interesting fight, this. But let's see. Will Arnold get it done first time round? It has to be said, it does look quite likely, especially the amount of ERS he's got. But let's see what Kyle does then. Arnold, he'll be clear before the corner even arrives. And yeah, he's ahead. And do you know what? TC is sticking with this. He is staying close to Pete.
Yeah, he's just determined. I think the whole front wing could be ripped off that car. He's determined to stick to the back of him. But, you know, I think Pete has got his number on this occasion just by that, you know, that experience, that you know, the tactical nous of Pete when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing has worked in his favour here, using that ERS well, deploying it at the right moments, and it's frustrated TC, and it's worked to perfection. I mean, TC clearly the quicker in this Grand Prix, clearly the quicker over the weekend, but, you know, Knighton just using a few extra tools in his box and making it work to hold on to that fourth place at the moment. But what could be his downfall is the number of penalties he's got. I mean, I'll need to have a little count up and see how many it is, but yeah, lap 25 out of 28 is looking good for Speed 9 on the racetrack, at least, to stay ahead. And Kyle, by the way, still only 7/10 back behind Arnold. He's doing his best to cling on there, isn't he? Perhaps that could swing round in terms of tyre advantage come the end of this race, because we know the softs degrade quicker than the mediums, so maybe on the final lap that might level out a little bit and give Kyle a chance to come back at him. We'll have to wait and see. In fact, he's going to have a chance because he's in the DRS, and if you can just cling on to him for another couple of laps, he might just have that chance at the end of the race, guys, mightn't he?
Yes, he might. Just to quickly answer your question, Andy, Pete has the 9 seconds of penalties, but like you say, Kyle with a great chance as Arnold goes for a lock-up. That won't be good. Just wonder if this is a dress rehearsal for Brazil. Mind games with each other. Arnold gets a good exit out of the chicane, but Kyle with the DRS, he'll come back at him. I wonder if he's just too far away on this particular lap. Just sizing Arnold up.
Yeah, I think the good thing for Arnold is he's got plenty of, well, not plenty, but he's got enough ERS in his pocket at the minute to defend with, whereas Kyle doesn't have much to attack with. So I think Kyle just needs to try and stick with it, you know, save that ERS for a couple of laps, maybe force Arnold into using some up when he maybe doesn't need to, you know, just give him that, you know, that presence. And maybe Arnold will, you know, feel a little bit insecure and start draining that battery a little, and then maybe go for that final lap assault. Maybe that's the best option here for Kyle. Just let those soft tyres die away a little, and then try and mount an attack on the final lap when Arnold has maybe used up some battery. That's got to be Kyle's best bet at the minute of fighting back.
By the way, Yuri went off there. That's what the yellow flag was for. He recovered okay, but he might have fallen into the clutches of Dexter, who finally got by Riley a couple of laps ago. Riley nearly into the wall while they were fighting. They were bumping and barging, doing all sorts. But yeah, it does seem that fight's over. It also does seem TC. He tried again with the DRS and the ERS, that second zone, but he just wasn't closing. And now looking at the gap, it's looking a bit grim that for him. And he's off the track as well. Hitting those bumps could lead to spinning up very easily. But you can see he's pushing, but he's just that front wing is costing him the time and the grip he needs. Kyle is trying to stay close to Arnold, but Arnold, that ERS is going down. It was in the 40s last time I checked, and he's still using it to try and pull away. So he is straighting it. And I think you might be right here, Andy. This could be all down to the last lap, because the ERS could end up being quite equal. And Arnold's tyres might have a lesser working window than Kyle's tyres. So yeah, you might be right. This could be down to the last lap, this one.
I think the one issue Kyle's had, though, is he's also tried to use up some battery to stick with Arnold. So I mean, maybe he's had to do that because he just doesn't have the pace at the minute. But I think that might be Arnold's saving grace. But we'll have to wait and see. But he's certainly, Kyle, asking questions of Arnold. He's putting the pressure on, and he is forcing Arnold to just use that battery up a little more, as we've been discussing. And the delta, the difference between their batteries is a lot closer than what it was a couple of laps ago. So yeah, absolutely, maybe a final lap assault might just come from Kyle as Arnold threatens to go above 1 second, up to 9/10 as they cross the line there. Is he maybe now putting the foot down and trying to break that DRS right now, kill the momentum of Kyle? But at the minute, he's closing back into 7/10, so not quite. Meanwhile, TC is in danger of dropping behind the second to Pete, and that might just happen as they cross the line now. So is Pete finally broken TC's resistance? We'll have to wait and see. But things looking completely under control for race leader Corey, aren't they?
Yeah, 11.2 seconds clear. He's able to sit back now, just get that thing to the end. Look at Arnold with the weaving on the straight. They're both nearly equal on ERS. That's why he's doing it. He knows he's under pressure now, and Kyle, seeing that weaving, that's going to make him feel very confident. He's going to know now that Arnold, he feels the pressure. Look at the slide of the chicane as well. Kyle is putting Arnold under pressure. He's already closing up again with the weaving. Kyle will save it. He's not going to do it on this lap. He even backs off on the way in to avoid running into the back of him. He's setting it all up for the final lap, and it feels like Arnold could be a sitting duck at this rate.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of what Kyle was doing in the race at Zandvoort a few weeks ago with Jamie. Jamie did eventually win the race, but the two of them were just battling and trading ERS more than anything, and just waiting for that right moment. Jamie came out on top in the end, but Kyle learnt from that, and he's showing it here. Corey with 1 to go, £50 in his hands.
And going straight to charity as well.
And going straight to charity, yep.
Yep, so that's great to see.
I'll tell you what, Kyle,
yeah, he's playing this absolutely brilliantly. This is the sign of an experienced racer, an experienced league racer. Not to panic, don't go for the move on the penultimate lap when the option's there. Let your opponent drain that battery. Just be there, just be a big blob in your opponent's mirror. Make him think you're there, put him under pressure, ask him to cut the corners and get penalties. And now Kyle is right there, similar battery life. They're both deploying the overtake as they go down the straight. But the key factor is, Kyle is the man with that letterbox opening, and he's the man that's gaining and gaining. Arnold weaving left and right. He's panicking now. He is worried, he's concerned. Because now Kyle is right there. Nothing between them on the ERS, nothing between them on the racetrack, apart from half a second, a few car lengths, and now Kyle can reel him in. But Arnold, a fantastic drive off that corner. If Kyle wants to do it, it's going to need to be a lunge. But he's too far back, and Arnold is playing his cards well. They both played their cards well, but in the end it's looking good for Arnold as Corey is in the final sector.
Here he comes then. He's been dominant all day, took the lead early on when Jalik was taken out by OKK's car. From then on it was simple, all he had to do was make a couple of overtakes as TC does get ready for a move. But first of all, here comes Corey, right in the final corner. He's going to collect 50 quid, he's going to break his ducking JACKOCAR. Victory for him. And let's see what's happening with that 5%, because I tell you what, Kyle's all over Arnold still, but there's just going to be no way through there. He's giving it his all. He would have got by on this lap, I reckon, but you know, I said that 1 lap extra. So that's second and third for those two. And TC was close, but not close enough.
Did well to stay with Pete with that broken front wing. Pete with the slightly better tyres at the end of this race, so he's going to come home P4 on track, but he will drop down to maybe 6, I believe, with Cloud being so close.
Well, what's Cloud's penalties? He might actually nick 4th here. And he does by a 10th of a second. Cloud finishes P4. Good drive for him. So it's TC 5th, Pete 6th, and then it'll be a long way back before you find Camo Babo. And
he led the formation lap.
Yeah, he got the formation lap. Maybe he knew he didn't want the pace. He had to do something. So he gets P7. Here's Jordan running the last corner. He'll pick up P8. And then Yuri and Dexter, nice and close on the track. Yuri weaving about a little bit. He's nearly into the wall as well. Just get it to the line, man.
I sent some donuts coming from Mr. John, by the way. It's a tradition of his.
Yeah, he does like that. I've seen that a few times.
And he's
one from Yuri as well. He's out.
Yeah, well, he was asking for that, really, wasn't he? Let's be honest. Riley's in Narnia. Is he going to do donuts as well, or is he just made it? He's got no front wing. That's why he's got some front wing missing.
I think he fancies a world championship. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
No, maybe not. No, it's just a joke. Yes.
That's the most popular points finish of all time, Mr. John. Excellent.
Brilliant. 10 years of racing and a P10 finish for the legendary Mr. John.
Excellent. Well, lads, I've got to ask you, driver of the day, where are you going with that one? And everyone in the comment section as well. Oh, come on, let us know who's your driver of the day today.
It's got to be Corey, hasn't it? I mean, he absolutely dominated that thing. Sure, you could say it was handed to him thanks to the incident, but I mean, he had shown the pace and quality as well. He was always up there. And, well, the amount of sweating he did, he sort of had to win the thing, didn't he? But he did emphatically. And he takes some 50 quid. He says he'll give it to charity. I'm sure we'll find out what that is as well. Here's the order quickly, by the way, as well. Actually, no. Give you your driver of the days first, actually. Should give you a chance, shouldn't I?
I think Corey's probably, it has to be the shoe-in for driver of the day.
As well.
But, a special mention to Cloud. No penalties, and took advantage of TC and Knighton's penalty count to finish as high as 4th. So, excellent job from him there as well.
ST Mats with an honourable mention in the chat with saying OKK driver of the day. He did provide the entertainment, at least, we can say that.
Absolutely did. Incredible sequence of events at the start of this race. But there's your race results, Owen White.
So, Corey from Arnold, Kyle, Clyde, CC, Pete, Camo Babo, Jordan, Dexter, Mr. John, Riley, Yuri, MK Bourne, Iceman, J. Khalifa, and OKK. Now, we are back next week again, because we have got the charity race at Spa, and why don't you tell us a little bit about that one, Jacko?
Yes, so we did the UNICEF charity race for the kids affected by coronavirus in April, I believe. We had the special guests, we had Thibaut Courtois, we had Louis Delatraz. The drivers, they said, we've got this 2-week break, you're doing the All-Star race, why don't we do another charity race? I was like, okay, we'll do that. But I opened the door for the drivers to choose which charity, the most popular of which was Mine Charity. They've already been in contact on the Twitter today. So we are raising money for them, which is to raise awareness for mental health, people that suffer with that. We're already up to over £680, I think, with a target of only 100. In the commentary box is yourself, Owen, along with Austin Smith, Badgerman, as you may know him. I'm racing. We're still working on trying to get a full grid and maybe potentially another guest or two. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, that's next week. That'll be Spa, and I'm choosing the weather.
Oh god, it's going to be miserable that. But anyway, that's all to look forward to next week. You'll find information about that, by the way, on JACKOCAR's Twitter. If you want to donate as well, it's obviously on there. But that will be us here in Abu Dhabi. Like I say, we'll be back next week. But I want to say special thanks as well to Andy, the guest commentator. Always a pleasure to have you here. Looking forward to hopefully stealing you again for Brazil as well. But,
yeah, it was a pleasure to be involved. I really enjoyed it. Good action. It's always nice to see a different format. I said this last time with the playoffs and how we've had so many different drivers go for a title, and I like that interesting qualifying format, the simulation damage with punctures and things like that. It did provide a curveball in the end and it affected the race. So yeah, I like that kind of thing. So it was a pleasure to be involved, and hopefully I can be involved again soon.
Right, well, that will be us then, here in Abu Dhabi. Thank you for watching. Apologies for being late, by the way, as well. It's Khalifa's fault. But we will leave you now. Have a lovely Thursday night. We'll see you in Spa next week for the charity race. So, safe travels, everybody. Wear your masks, etc. And, yeah. Bye-bye.